Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. If you could give me a quick thumbs up or something in the chat that you can hear my audio, I would really appreciate that. Um, all right, we got North Carolina, Topeka, Kansas at minus 14 degrees. Um, I assume that's in Fahrenheit. Either way, that is insanely cold. Um, North Carolina, Philly. I am in East Bay, California, and I would call it chilly. I would not call it negative 14 degrees. That is amazing. Um, awesome. Thank you for letting me all know you can hear me. I'm working out one last challenge with my audio that sometimes doesn't kick in when I turn this thing on. So I hope you are all having a great day, morning, afternoon, wherever you happen to be, and that you don't get too cold. Please stay warm. Please stay safe. Karen, you have snow. I grew up in a place where there was snow. I live in a place where there is no snow, and I miss it. What I don't miss is having to shovel the driveway so my mom could get to work in the morning. But even then, looking back on it, that was kind of fun compared to, rain being the most exciting thing we get. So today we are all here to learn about home pages. There's no place like home. A very quick question: who knows that reference? What is that line from? Where does that come from? I promise I won't refer to that too much during this, but I had some fun with the name. Um, so, like usual, we're going to go through our normal slides. I'm pretty sure these ones look good. I had some other folks check them for me just to make sure I didn't spell too many things improperly. But we're going to jump in. If I can click on the right thing. There we go. Emily just pays a neighbor kid to shovel. Smart. Yes, Wizard of Oz. Yes, no place like home is the phrase Dorothy, the main character, uses to get home. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen that movie yet. So, the standard question: who is I? Excuse me, I clearly haven't had enough coffee yet. Who am I? My name is Rob. My career has been in information technology. I started off as the IT help desk intern at my university, essentially, literally just dragging monitors and computers and printers and things around. Since then, I've had different roles in information technology. I've been a help desk manager. I've created help desks from scratch. I've been a knowledge base manager, a learning systems manager, a consultant, a project manager, and I work with a lot of different groups within companies, typically internal groups, so like sales or finance, but I also work with customer groups. And this gave me a good appreciation for the amount of information and knowledge a organization has, as well as an appreciation for the people and systems and time necessary to make sure that stuff is useful. I started using other knowledge-based platforms, but I started Confluence about 10 years ago. And honestly, I started using it because that's what the company I was at had. I walked in, I said, "What's our knowledge base?" And someone pointed to the Confluence icon on a screen and said, "That's it." Now, some of you may have heard this story, but the spoiler alert is from 1939. Yes, it is a very old movie. But was there a remake? I'm thinking of Willy Wonka. Um, I began using Confluence 10 years ago, but never had training. I was just told that's the knowledge base, so I had to figure it all out. And that's why I do live learnings like this one. I want to make sure other folks don't have to learn by doing and the pain of making a lot of mistakes. That happens to work for me. I can figure it out. I kind of enjoy that challenge of learning that way. But many people, most of the time, just want to do their job. They want to be a good sales rep. They want to balance the books. They want to write code, whatever you do. I want the systems that you use, like Confluence, not to get in your way. And that's why I teach. I have live courses. I have some recorded. But down at the bottom is my email. Please shoot me an email with questions. Some of you have, which has been great. And I'll be happy to answer and kind of help you all out if I can. I like YouTube because I can reach so many people. We had 260 people sign up for this event, which is amazing. I never thought that many people would want to listen about Confluence homepages. But it's kind of hard to interact. Many of you have already found the chat. And Dave, I don't know if you mean wicked like the movie or wicked like, yeah, that's wicked, like the slang. So please use the chat. It should be over to the right on YouTube. You'll see us ask questions. You'll see other people ask questions. If you know an answer, please drop it in there. One thing I love to see is when the group starts helping each other, because this is not just all about Rob. I happen to be the one on the screen, But there's a lot of really smart, great people out there, so please interact with each other if you're comfortable. It also helps us out if you like and subscribe. My goal is to have one of these trainings almost every Thursday at 6 a.m. Pacific time. That's UTC -8. But I need ideas. I need feedback. I need things to help me make more courses, more live lessons. So please let us know in that chat, what you think we should do, and then subscribe and like, and that tells us as well. You may see us ask a question: how comfortable are you with something? A 1 is not comfortable and a 5 is super comfortable. So just a quick way for us to gauge, how does the group feel about the thing? A very quick agenda. I always start with concepts and ideas. There will be terms, there will be ideas and things that you maybe are unfamiliar with, but if you know what they are, at least you can go look them up later. You can jump in Atlassian community and type in element or macro or layout or whatever and get answers more quickly. Dave, yes. Wicked, the movie, I think it was a stage play. I haven't seen it, actually, so I don't know much about it. I've heard it's really good, though. So we'll start out with some concepts like what even is a homepage? Why do we care about them? We have lots of pages in Confluence. Why are these ones special? We'll take a look at some homepage templates or talk about that. And then we'll focus mainly on things like formatting. How do we make it better? We'll also talk about a recent feature in Confluence Cloud called the Company Hub. Most of what I'm sharing will be available in any flavor of Confluence. The Hub, I believe, is premium and up, though, on Cloud, so sorry, Data Center. But then we'll also discuss the importance of maintaining a homepage. And then we'll do a bunch of this stuff live. I have a Confluence Cloud Premium instance. We're going to jump into that and play along. Dave isn't sure how familiar, so he put a 3. I love that. And our first question is just, how familiar are you with homepages? Dave, a whole session to unpack the mysteries of Confluence search. That is an excellent idea, my friend. I will definitely add that to my lineup. Thank you. A homepage is just the top of the content hierarchy for a space. Now, when we first make a space, and when we think of the hierarchy, that will be the top page. And it's the first thing someone sees when they open the space. It's the home page of the space. Now, you won't see it in the content hierarchy. It's invisible in the hierarchy itself, but when you click on the name of the space, that's the page you end up on. And they behave almost exactly like any other page. They can have content, so you'll see a lot of home pages that have text on them or attachments or images. They have macros. Again, they're a page, so you can have things like a table of contents or a recent information. But they also intend to do a few things like provide guidance. When I think of the homepage, I think of the first thing someone sees. Imagine you walk into your local library. You might see a sign pointing to where different books are, or a bulletin board explaining upcoming events. This is the same idea, but virtual. Unfortunately, they are also frequently forgotten. I am very guilty of this, but when I make a space, I almost never change the homepage, and that's because I'm lazy. I really should take time to update them to make sure when someone gets to the space, they get information about what's going on. Victoria, yes, it is a landing page. And they're important for a couple of reasons. They give guidance to folks. Imagine you're a new hire at a organization and you open up a page called employee onboarding, and the first thing you see is nothing. Or the first thing you see is outdated or doesn't have the right information. That's not a good experience. On the other hand, if you were to open that as a new hire and, hey, it's got a lot of great information, I can see where I get, I can go look at my benefits or log into a system. That's really important. That's guiding me to things I need, and it sets a very good impression on, hey, what is this group about? So it's not just about the content. It's also about showing the people we work with, like, hey, we care about you and we want you to get what you need. Again, I've seen a lot of groups that don't do that. They don't make the time to make the homepage. They get stuck on the content, the stuff in the space, not the landing page for the space that will really guide people and help them decide, is this where I want to be? Because that's another big thing that the homepage does for me. If I open up a homepage and I can't figure out what's the space for, I may go somewhere else, and I've lost that chance to get good information. This is more or less common in organizations that don't monitor and maintain their Confluence as much. So imagine you have a few spaces that have similar names: engineering team, and engineering docs. and you look at their homepages, and none of those homepages tell you really what the space is for, you kind of have to guess. So the homepage is our first chance to really make that impression and to help someone find what they need and get what they need. Victoria, I love the question. Can you create an automation where if you make a page, it updates your homepage? You could. That would probably take a lot of work. So there's something better you can do, and that's use macros. So when we jump into the live session, or when we jump into Confluence Cloud Premium, I'll show you live some tricks you can use on a homepage to automatically update lists of content or other things. Are there courses that discuss connections between Jira and Confluence and use the automation to show information? Karen, there are some macros built into Confluence. I might have a couple YouTube videos on different ways to pull content between Jira and Confluence, but I will add that to my list of live trainings. There are a lot of different ways. Karine, I hope I'm saying that right. I love you helping out your friend in the channel here. Thank you. Dave has a homepage that are top-level sections below our Confluence homepage. Interesting. I'd love to see what that looks like, Dave. I'm always looking for new ideas on how to use things. One thing about homepages, though, is formatting. One of the stories I tell myself that might not be true is I'm not a designer. And what I mean by that is I'm not good at making visual content. For example, when I made this slide deck, one of the first things someone looking at it said, I hate that nothing is aligned. All the images, and even these images, aren't really aligned too well. And I need to stop telling myself that story because I can be a good designer. I can figure things out. And I do that with formatting. And that's true of my homepages as well. So there's a couple tricks to using the homepage, and one we've already brought up, which is macros. These are little programs, little scripts that run on a page that extend its functionality. Last week, I think we did a whole hour exploring macros and ideas. I will be talking about some that I use on homepages quite a bit. But they are a great way to help make pages more dynamic, to pull in content, to help automatically update them when something changes. Excuse me. And Emily's telling me it's not in Comic Sans. What do y'all think? Should I do one in Comic Sans and just see what happens? The other thing I'll call out, there's a free app called Karma. It has a whole bunch of ready-made templates. It is a much more powerful formatting tool than what we get out of Confluence. Confluence started, I think, as a knowledge base, and it's intended to collaborate and to store knowledge. They are getting better at formatting options, but it still leaves a lot to be desired. I am constantly frustrated at what I can't do with the base Confluence stuff. So I'll also show you this free app called Karma. It does have a premium tier, but there's a lot of great free stuff that can make homepages pop and look a lot more interesting and useful than what I can do with the basic stuff. So a couple useful macros. Chad says that we use macros for deep search. Deep search, that sounds really technical and specific. To show recently updated pages and featured pages. Chad, if I don't get to it live, I think I know what you mean by deep search, but I'll try and get to that. And Emily's correct. Atlassian does send surveys, so please respond to the survey about the training. I love feedback. Gotcha. So Dave is saying each group or team has their own top-level homepage to introduce sections. I love that, and I'll talk about maintenance in a bit. There's a couple macros I see a lot of groups use. One is called layouts. If you do a / and search, it shows up under columns. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but we can now have up to 5 columns on a page. I say that kind of jokingly. When I started using Confluence, it maxed out at 3. So we can now have up to 5 columns to let us break up content and organize things. I use these quite a bit to visually break up things or to have like a table of contents next to a background section. And I'll show you how these work once we jump in. The other one I see a lot on a homepage, depending on the use case, is a user profile. And this pulls in the user's information, like their screen, like their icon, their name, and their email. So for team spaces, I tend to see this used quite a bit, where folks will list out, here are the 12 people on the team, just so you can instantly see, oh, this is who was on support, and here is their email. One trick or one hiccup I have with it is I haven't found a way to make it dynamic, and I wonder if someone out there in the chat can help out. Chad, you're stealing my thunder here, my friend. Give me a minute. I'm getting there. But yes, cards are great. I haven't found a way to make user profiles populate from a team or a group. So as of now, I got to put each person individually. Not the end of the world. It just takes a little bit more effort. Two other useful macros, Chad, are cards, which are great, and carousels. These are relatively new. These came out with the company hub, which I'll talk about. I want to say earlier late last year, and they are just a more visual way to show things. These are the default ones when I add the macro, but you can see there's images, I have titles, I can do links. It is a step towards better visual formatting in my mind out of the box. That said, we don't get a lot beyond this, which is why something like Karma as an app is very useful because I get a lot more visual options. Again, if I think of a homepage or any page, if it's just text, even if it's well formatted and aligned and everything, that's much less exciting than if there's images and other things going on. And not that it has to be, like a Marvel movie in terms of excitement, but I don't want my people bored and looking at it, kind of falling asleep when they see things. So cards will show up, and I see this used for things like on a new hire space, get IT help, get HR help, ask a question. And then carousels I've seen used for like announcements. So what's coming up in the next month. And when we click on it, there'll be one big image and a bunch of smaller ones. All right, a question for folks. How often do you make time to actually update your homepage? And while you ponder that deep question, I will talk a bit about the Company Hub. The Company Hub is, again, relatively new. It came out last November, I think. And last I checked, it's available in Cloud Premium and higher. It's Confluence's attempt to give us a single landing page for everyone. Now, this will show up in the nav bar. It can be turned off, thankfully. But it's, in my mind, a good step forward because it's a communal page. It's one thing that wherever you are in Confluence, you can see. Now, personally, I might not use it too much because I am very comfortable in crawling around Confluence and using links and opening spaces. However, for most of the people using Confluence, this is a great thing. I worked at a company with 30,000 people. I guarantee you, not all of them knew how to use Confluence very well. But if they saw a link up at the top saying, company homepage, and they clicked on it and that would guide them to other things they needed, that would have been huge. That would have solved a lot of the challenges that I see with people saying I can't find stuff in Confluence because it's buried. And unless you know how to search, which I'll cover later in a different training, is hard. All right, so some answers to the question, how often do you update your homepage? Never, once a quarter, set and forget, and rarely. I like Emily's answer trying to wiggle out of I don't actually update them. But they're saying they use macros to automatically update, which is a very smart strategy. I am in the never bucket. As I mentioned earlier, I almost never even set up a homepage, and I really need to change that habit because it's important to maintain these things. Things change over time. I think this slide is in the wrong spot, so I'm just going to skip it. A fun thing I didn't know is you can change the homepage. And I discovered this when I went to a space where the content tree was missing things. There were pages that I knew existed in the space that weren't apparent in the content tree. So what I'll show you is how to change that as well. You can change this as a space admin under space details, and you can make it any page in the space. The thing to know is it will effectively hide any content that isn't under that page. And this is what happened to me. Maybe in this screenshot, user role explained was the new homepage. So everything that wasn't a child page of it vanished from the tree. Do you use the company hub, Dave? Nope. Again, it is a cool feature because it gives us one spot to go. So you can change the homepage. Just be careful that if you do, people might complain that stuff disappeared. It's still there. You can still link to it. Macros still see it. You can still search for it. It just breaks that visual seeing it. And here is an example of that. These are lost pages. I'm putting that in quotes. On the right side, the onboarding page is my home page, but there's other content. There's a project plan and there's the actual jQuil homepage. And then on the left in the content tree, I only see the children of onboarding. So this is how it could be really confusing for folks. I don't see groups do this very often. Typically when I find this in the wild, it's because someone didn't know what they were doing, or the person who did it left and didn't tell anyone. So they had made this change and everyone was complaining, hey, all this stuff is missing. Lucas, Company Hub could be used as an intranet homepage. I believe that's the intended function. The term intranet, with an RA, not an ER, intranet, an internal company network, for me feels like something out of the 1980s. And that might be because when I used it, I was working at an older company or talking to folks who'd been around a while. So I don't use that term very much, but I probably should. Emily says that they changed the homepage on purpose to hide things. Karen, our pages look like that. Everything nested under topics. Yes, so you do want to nest things. For example, onboarding information under an onboarding page. We just want to be careful that if we change the homepage, we mean to do that because other content won't show up as easily. So some tips and best practices. Please maintain your homepages. Do what Emily did, put macros in that will automatically pull in content dynamically. But also once a quarter, once every 6 months, just go look at your homepage and ask yourself, is this still doing what I need it to? Or talk to people who use it. Talk to those new hires. Talk to your team and say, hey team, we built this out 3 months ago and it looked great. How could we make it better? And I say that because things change. You know, our planning is point in time. We do a great job, but then the company evolves. We have new team members. We have new technology, new ideas. So making time to update it is important. But also tell other people about homepages. This was not a concept I knew about when I started using Confluence, and I probably suffered because of it. I didn't make time to build them, which means folks didn't benefit from that guidepost, that landing page to know what to get. So I guarantee you other people at your organization are just as in the dark as I was. I mentioned regularly reviewing them, and it's on here twice just because it's that important. But also help out others. You know, a big part of using a system is helping others use it better as well. So as you're comfortable and as you see it, show others how to edit their homepage or show off your own. Say, hey team, here's this great homepage I made and look at how I did it. Please steal these ideas so you can improve. All right, I'll quickly catch up on chat. I think I have my magic. Nope, I have one more. One more slide, but we've got Emily saying, haven't found a good plan for archiving old content. I was going to say there's an archive feature, Emily, but I bet you know about that. I would challenge that and ask, why do you want to archive something without archiving it? Like, what is the use case to do something between showing off the page and actually putting it in the archive, which is the intended use? So our scenario, we are super excited to join jQuil Incorporated and get the most out of Confluence. However, when we go to a homepage, it's hard to use. It makes us annoyed. It makes us pain. It physically causes us pain when we go to them. So we're going to teleport into Confluence and not go that way and go this way and pop into Confluence Cloud Premium. So most of the things I show folks will be available in any flavor of Confluence. The things that will not be available to standard, free, or data center are going to be the company hub and then the cards and carousel macros. The Karma app, I believe, is also cloud only. So when I show you Karma, that will not be for data center, but the other folks. But otherwise, looking at a homepage like we see here is available to every version of Confluence, regardless of, you know, status, version, etc. Dave looking for a good archiving process. Yeah, me too, Dave. Let me know what you find. I'd love to hear. And maybe I'll add that to my list of trainings on how to maintain content. I'll write that here on my notepad. Karen makes an archive folder with everything in it. We'll then just delete and purge it. I do that in my office. I have part of my desk where I put stuff I swear I'm going to do something with, and then 3 months later I get frustrated and just throw it all away. Dave is looking to reduce the number of pages that show up in search, but archive pages are super hard to find. I don't know about how super hard. You do have to come in here and find archived content. All right, we're getting distracted by the fascinating concept of archival. This is my homepage, and I got to this just by opening my space menu and clicking on the name of a space. So here is the space homepage for human resources. Here is the one for Robert Heen. Now I can see on this one that whoever maintains this made some changes. It looks like they were training for macros, and this might have been last week. But if I go back to human resources, this is a template of a homepage. And when I go to make a new space, if I click on create space here, this is where that template would be pulled in. Now I think there's 3 possible templates. I've got collaboration, knowledge base, and custom. And they're just something to get us started. Now, most of the time I don't have the ability to create a space. I have to go to like information technology just because I don't have that permission. But you'll end up with something like this. These are good for brand new beginners. It's got some ideas. It's reminding you, hey, you should do something with this, but also trying to guide you through how to use Confluence, which is nice. Excuse me. I have to drink more coffee. These links down here at the bottom are also useful and interesting. I always double check them every once in a while. This is Atlassian's official content. Again, things like make beautiful pages, format them, etc. But for here, let's say we want to help out the human resources team. We're just going to pop in and edit this, and it will edit exactly like a page. Okay. I love this thread on archival. Something between a regular page and a true archive. Blogs will do that, Emily. They'll let you sort chronologically. So here I am in my editor, and I'm just going to start by ripping everything out. I find that if I don't do that, if I try and leave things in place, I end up with this entire block just sitting there. And then I have this just hanging out. It's just useless stuff. So I'm just going to get rid of it all. And now I have a big problem. I have a blank slate. This for me is challenging. So typically what I'll do is if I have a physical whiteboard on the wall, I'll like sketch out what I want the homepage to look like. I'll do this with some other pages as well if they're important pages or things I think folks will use a lot. It just gives me a moment to think, what do I want this to look like? In the same way I would plan out what should a space look like. But I'm going to add a few things that I almost always add to a page. I'll start with layouts, which I can click this button to insert them. Or they're available now in the /. If I type layout, I can add my columns. And I might set something up here. On a page, I would typically put in a table of contents. I might not do that here, though, or I might do it differently because, again, this is a homepage. This is supposed to look pretty and visually pleasing. So I'll actually add it here. And then I'm going to make some changes on this side. I'm going to make it a horizontal list. The vertical list will, go down. That's great for a page, but horizontal will go left, right across the top, which might be more useful for me right now. Then under that, maybe I'll add a divider. I'll add my layout in again. And I'll have something like team mission and who we are. HR professionals. And if you notice at the top, that table of contents is starting to build left to right. I find this to be a better use than the vertical one here, just to keep people focused on the content. And this looks more like a guidepost breadcrumb kind of thing to do HR than otherwise. Now, under this, I want to think through what else would be useful for someone on the HR space. Dave is asking, is there an Atlassian Slack channel? There is no official Atlassian Slack channel that I'm aware of. I've tinkered with ideas of different communities. I do some study sessions that use Discord to chat. But the closest thing we have for Atlassian is the Atlassian community, which I'll talk about at the end. And people are going nuts about Justin. What did Justin do? I got to get caught up. Previous IT manager set up a team space. I like that. With a picture of Hal, open the pod bay doors. It takes you. I'm afraid I can't do that. Oh, that's fun. I don't know if you have a screenshot of that, Justin, or a video. I'd love to see that one in action, though. I want to ask myself, what do I want this page to be? So again, I might want to include team members. So here I might have meet the team. And when I build these, I start with just the headers. I don't want to get too caught up in the content. I want to make sure I have the structure in place of the page, of the home page, before I start adding things. Maybe I have a get HR team help. And then I have like useful articles. Now I don't like how this is all vertical, so I'm going to add another layout here. And I want HR team help to live in there. All right, and now I can start adding in some profiles. Whoops. I made a whoopsie. I didn't pick the thing I wanted. I wanted the user profile, not the profile picture. Beep. I've got Rob. Who else do I have? My good friend Jan. There we go. All right, we've got the HR team. Then under HR help, I would put things like links to my Jira Service Management if I had it. Or I would direct them to the HR office or phone number, that kind of information. Julie is really, I don't know why she's yelling at us, but how to communicate in working hours. Those would be very, I assume you would add these here, Julie. But that would also be something very useful to include. So I'll put that in here right now, actually. Let me expand this. I'll change my columns using this little drop down. And have like HR hours. You know, Monday, 6 to 10. That's a very long time. 8 to 5. Tuesday, 8 to 5. Again, the idea here is someone comes to this and they go, hey, what are the hours for HR? And they'll see them right away. They don't have to guess. They don't want to put that there. They don't want to search through Confluence. They don't want to fight with the search function. It's just all right there. Now, folks have been talking about not doing that. Macros quite a bit. And how do we make things dynamic? So here I have useful articles. Now, I have a couple of... I have a single policy page. I'm going to quickly just copy this. Because I need more content to show us how to do things. So HR will typically have a number of policies, vacation, leave, etc., payroll. And these might be useful, or they might not be most useful that we want to show to people. Julie, you're okay. I just loved how you were like, this is important. I need to draw attention to it, so thank you for that. Dave, debate on team about how to use dividers. Yes. I don't use them very much. I tend to use headers. That said, that is a great debate to have. There is no, correct way to use Confluence. There's no Confluence police that are going to come through the ceiling if you use a divider improperly. I hope not, anyway. So that means, we as individuals can make design decisions on what do we want things to look like. But we should also talk to our team and say, what is our standard? How should we make things look? The challenge with Confluence is it tends to be internal facing, so it doesn't get as much attention. But I work a lot with customer facing help center teams, and they have a design book that instructs them how to use a divider, when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate. Or think of a marketing team has a design book that tells them use this font color for these things and not for those things. In my mind, we all should have that for our own internal Confluence, just so we know when we should be using a divider or a header, just to help provide that guidance. Okay, so I now have some policies, and I have some options. So under useful articles, I could do things like, what do I have here? No, I don't want to delete everything. That's absolutely not what I want to do. My good friend content by label, which they now call filter by label. This one I use quite a bit. This macro will automatically pull in pages that have a specific label on them. So I'm just going to go add a policy label to this. And I'm doing this just to show how this macro can work in one way to automatically maintain our homepage without having to go look at it. And this is the trick that Emily mentioned in the chat earlier. Like, they may not look at their homepage a lot, But they know that for anything with that policy macro on it, it's just going to get pulled up. It helps if I type it in properly. Beep. Here we go. It will automatically be populated in this list. And as new pages are added, and I'll go add one in a moment, that will be added here. Now, there's a couple things about this. Like, I probably don't need the labels listed, so I'll click on more options. I'll get rid of the labels and the space name. Because all of these, I don't want to show the labels to everyone. They just need their policy, and they don't really care what space it's in. I use this macro a lot for lots of different options, so I might include the space name in some cases, and in some cases I won't. But right from here, I can just hit insert, and now this will just update itself. So as my team goes in and adds new policies, so let's make a new one right now. I guess I'll call this one bereavement policy. I speak one language kind of poorly, so I hope I spelled that properly. And I go back to my home page, and I add a label to it. Oh, good, it's already there. Whew. After a moment, this is going to update to include bereavement policy. So this is one trick in maintaining our home pages. We don't actually have to maintain them. I can now see it pop up. All right, lots of great chat. I love how the group is chatting with each other. This is great. We've got Emily using dividers sparingly because headers do the job. How do we create cool dynamic tiles for specific content like children pages? I'll come back to that in a minute, Lucas. That's a good question, though. Dividers add a bit of oomph. Yes, they do. Common use case, there's a specific section of people that will need to edit, but most people don't need to. Creating cool dynamic tiles, Lucas. Yep. I love how you're putting it back in the chat so it doesn't get buried. I am getting ignored by chat because when I click over here on Confluence, my chat vanishes and I can't see you all. And I know all the cool kids are having good discussions, and I'm not part of them. Dave, they are very useful. End of discussion. How useful are labels? I will stay out of that debate for right now, but maybe I'll have a training on labels. Let me add that to my expanding list of things to talk about. All right. So back to our homepage. Lucas had a great question. How do we add more visually pleasing things? Everything I've done so far will work in every version of Confluence. So it doesn't matter if you're on Data Center or what. The name of filter by label might differ. It used to be called content by label. So if you're on an older version of Data Center, you might see that. But otherwise, all of these macros, all of these functions should work regardless of your flavor of Confluence. So what I'm going to show you now is in Cloud Premium and higher. I'm unsure when they'll release this stuff to other folks. I hope they do. But these are the cards and carousel. So this is a card macro. And if I go to configure it, I get a bunch of good options. Up at the top, I can make them manual or dynamic. And actually, dynamic is new. I haven't seen this before, so that's awesome. Using filters to automatically auto-update. Emily, I don't know if you're using these, but you might want to check them out. Let's find what these do. Because honestly, I have not seen this before. Awesome. So this looks like it's taking that idea of content by label and just expanding it. So I could include things by label here. And here I can see those. Or maybe I only want stuff that was last updated in the past 30 days. So what I'm thinking of doing here, you'll notice the policy page disappeared. This could be like recent updates or recent information, recent policy updates, so folks can see the things that have been updated in the near past, recent past. Excuse me. What space is it in? So usually something like a policy might only be in HR, but I make a lot of how-to articles. I can see an easy use case here, pulling in how-to pages that are recent, but from multiple spaces in Confluence. So from the engineering and the recruiting space, not just this one. Verified is an interesting thing. This is a page status. I don't use this all that much. It's intended to signal to folks that the page is good to go and actually accurate. But if I hit confirm, yes, we can see in the macro it's pulling these in. So again, this is news to me, and I love discovering things in live trainings where I'm supposed to be the expert. But this is just another way we can visually show information and have it update itself so I don't have to worry about it. I'll change this back to manual because this is how I have used it. What we can do, though, is hyperlink these. So maybe I hyperlink the first tile to the home page, and then I can change the name. I can add a little description, home page here. And one of the neat things that the nice people at Atlassian did is they integrated with Unsplash, which will let you choose from a whole bunch of like stock images. I like this because I don't have to go look for a quick image, and I can type in, happy people. Let's see if that finds it. Nope, that found nothing. Waves. There we go. I would like a nice wave. Or I can upload my own. So I work with different HR teams that use this to call attention to upcoming events or other things like that. And then I can go and edit each card down the line and link it to whatever I need to link it to. You're welcome, Emily. Again, that was new. Like, I was very surprised to see this dynamic in the top, and I'm very happy to see it. And I need to tell people about this where I work because they are currently manually updating these, which is it's a pain, I'll be honest. We can add cards. So this could be another way to show team members, or depending on your use case. I'll remove a couple of these just so we don't clutter up our homepage too much. But the cards macro is definitely a good step, in my mind, in the right direction. The next one, which I'll put maybe in between... Oh, no, I'll put it right at the top. It's more important than our mission. And that's our carousel. It's similar to cards. The difference is when I click on these, you'll see it pop that card to the top. I wonder if there's a dynamic in here. Nope. Never mind. Here's the same idea. I use these for like monthly or quarterly announcements, upcoming all hands, upcoming team events, things like that. And so I'd have each one be like all hands and give it a fun image. Go to my next card. Maybe this is company picnic. I pick on HR as a use case because I happen to work with that team a lot. But this could really be any type of content, a recent product update I want to show off. Some other important information. But it lets people click and browse, and it pops the one that I click onto the top. I'm just checking to see if there's any new features that they snuck in. Nope. One of the nice things about a cloud platform is updates just happen, and one of the bad things about it is updates just happen. So you end up finding updates like this, which is great. Dave, you're not even going to ask me how I use verified content. I'm right here, man. I appreciate the question, Dave, and I'm curious to see what Emily says. So we now have a better looking homepage. I'm going to stop developing this one just because I'm out of time, but I would spend more time on my homepage. I think of it like I think of writing or video editing. It might take me 10 minutes to record a video, but then I might spend an hour and a half editing it to make it look as good as possible. Same thing for our homepage. I might take 20 minutes to build out a page, and I might spend 3 hours on a good homepage. So it's really about thinking through what does our team need to see, how do they need to see it, and then making sure it meets their needs so it's useful. Again, someone coming here is much more likely to engage than someone who would land on something like this, which looks like, I don't even know what this looks like, something not good. I'm going to take the last 6 or 7 minutes and show Karma. This is an app available in cloud. So this is not available on data center, but it's free on all flavors of cloud. There are some paid aspects of it. I'll stay away from those for right now. But I happen to use Karma in my job. Sorry, now people are shushing me. in my own stream. I've used Karma before, and it is a big step towards that direction of, hey, visual content. Um, all I have to do here is /karma, and it's in the marketplace. Just search for Karma. Content formatting for free. Now, in my experience, I tend to not be an org admin, so I can't go download the app. So depending on your access, you might have to go to IT or find who manages this. It should be a pretty easy sell. It's free. And it gives you a lot of great things. So I'll just click on it. And Karma has its own editor. So what I see here are just a bunch of templates that I can use. So I might look at these and go, ooh, this one looks like a great homepage. Or maybe that one. Or maybe this Mobius triangle thing. Let's start with this one. And right away is just populating it with that template. Now I can come in here, I can change out the images. Let's see. And again, Karma gives us some great... yep, I like coffee on a desk. Welcome... Oh, no. Welcome to my space. Lorem ipsum. It has other things that are harder to do in Confluence, like adding buttons. So I might link this out to another page. Maybe I want this to go to my macro training page. Learn about macros. So the Karma editor for me is more in line with like maintaining my website. It's that visual editor that is, again, for me, much easier and cleaner to use. And if I publish this, it just drops it bloop, right on my page. And then I update. Now I have a page that looks a lot better than anything I could do in Confluence Standard. And the nice thing about this is someone coming to this page doesn't, it's kind of like a macro. The person doesn't know that they're actually looking at a Karma page. So for me, this gives me a lot more power and options to build out something visually useful. And there's a lot more features on the left here, inserting images, different header sizes. You can see some of the pro. This is the paid tier, so I won't touch those right now, but different buttons, visual icons. We were talking about dividers, and look at how many dividers there are. Like, so many dividers. Adding spacers, embedding video. Or even, we were talking about search. While we're talking about search, let's go back. I'll publish this real quick and go back to the other homepage before I jump to my last slide. Thank you, Karma. Someone mentioned including deep search. Excuse me. I am going to guess, and this is something I usually put on my home pages. I usually add this live search macro, this little fella. And the reason I add this is because it puts a search bar on the space, and I can restrict its scope. So I can tell it, hey, when someone uses this, only look for pages in human resources, maybe that have a certain label. Search HR policies. And now when I update this, I am again improving the consumer's experience. Search HR policies 1. Whoops. Maybe I want benefits. And I see every page in that space that has benefits. So that's one way, again, of further getting more leverage out of this. Dave, are you saying more dividers means it's a deal breaker for Confluence, or that you won't use Karma? Oh, Justin, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing. Sorry, folks were asking about more Karma templates. I kind of yada-yada'd through that. Thank you for keeping me honest, team. Again, Karma's free. If you can't install it in your organization, get a free Confluence instance and install it. And then you can just tinker and, play with it to your heart's content. Let me go to a different... Let me just delete the entire macro, actually. Will let me do that. Go away, Karma. Goodbye. And again, because that whole thing is its own macro, I can just delete it in one fell swoop. Up at the top, though, so here's landing pages. This probably would have made more sense to demonstrate. Apparently, it's the best Confluence page builder. I love that. but different templates we can use. Some for teams. Actually, I'm curious, how does it do? Yeah, it still has to be manual. Nuts. Okay, go away, Karma. Thank you. All right, going to pop over to my last slide real quick. And this is the standard kind of what's next. Check out Atlassian's community, community.atlassian.com. Please, please, please use a personal email when you go there. I say that if you use a work email and you change jobs for any reason, you'll lose access to your community account. It's very annoying. I forget how many I've lost, but there are definitely versions of Rob floating around community that don't exist. Zombie Robs. Wonderful. So use a personal email just so you can keep track of it. There's tons of free training in there, but also a great forum for asking questions, getting help, looking things up. And that's where the terms we used are important. You know, look up a macro. That'll help you find information on that. Look up the carousel macro to find that one specifically. Go explore Confluence, though. Getting hands-on is the best way to practice. So go get a free version of Confluence if you need to. You can do almost everything I showed you except, I think, the cards and carousel and Company Hub, which I didn't show you at all, so I'll have to show you that in a minute. I'm glad I remembered. The free version, though, will let you install Karma if you want to play with that. Check out my content. I make a lot of content. I'd like to think it's nice, and I hope people enjoy it. But also look at other people's content. I'm not the only person who uses Confluence, and the more perspective and more voices you can get and hear, the stronger you'll get. So please check out my live learnings every Thursday, 6 a.m. Pacific. I will remind folks that daylight savings is occurring soon in the United States, so the time may change for you. So please double check your clocks. I want to say it's early March. We will spring forward. So 6 a.m. for me will become 7 a.m. So check your clocks. This might shift by an hour. And then talk to others. I've made some great friends talking about Confluence. We can see some of them in the chat. But definitely chat up people about Confluence and learn about it. Okay, I got to go talk about the Company Hub real quick. I mentioned this earlier. I think it's only in Cloud Premium and higher, but it is a single landing page for the entire instance. So in the same way a home page is a landing page for a space, the hub is a landing page for the instance. And you'll see it lives up here. Now, it's basically a page. That's all it is. The only difference is it doesn't live in a space, so there's no content tree. Oh, and they have settings now. This is new. I like this. It's giving us some stats about it. How often is it used, which is nice. And then we can edit it just like a page. So I recommend folks set this up if they have it. You can make specific individuals hub editors so not everyone can get in. And you can do things like change the name of it. Where did they put that now? Atlassian keeps changing things and making it hard for me to do these trainings. But you can rename the hub to something else. So something that makes more sense for your company rather than just Company Hub. Might be under settings now. Rename. They hit it. Rob's home space. And so here we can just see the name updated. All right. Let me see what I missed in chat because you all are ignoring me and I'm sad. Kareen, I hope I'm saying that right, loves Karma, finds people are more likely to read pages using it. Yes. Having things that are visually interesting and appealing is massive to getting people to engage. So using an app like Karma makes it easy. Oh, Barbara, I'm sorry you can't use cloud services. That must be challenging. Here, I'll give you the full talking head and not the little circle. More homepage examples or templates. Karma has those built-in templates. What I can do, Barbara, is build out some homepages and share them out on my blog or somewhere. I don't know if there's like a repository of homepages. The best thing you can do immediately is make a new space and just see what the template looks like in Data Center. But I'm unaware of any anywhere that showcases like amazing homepages necessarily. Dave was kidding about using live search on homepage. I think he was kidding about something else. Julie thinks I'm cool, or at least the training was cool. I was never the cool kid in school, so thank you, Julie. That's really validating. And yes, Emily, you can see it before it's published. Yes, so what Emily's referring to, let me teleport back into Confluence here. I need to go this way. When we are editing something, and I'll go to the Robert Heen space. Right now, this page is live, or this homepage. So if someone else were to come to this link that isn't Rob, they would see this. However, if I go to edit this, I'm now in a draft, essentially, and you'll see there's nothing in here. Who can tell me why there's nothing in here, but there's something here? Like, what's the difference? And this is an important concept in Confluence that really messes with a lot of people. Aw. Thank you all. When I go to edit this, these changes aren't live until I hit publish, or update in this case. So if I don't update this, no one will see these. Only the person who's done the edit will see them. And this is also true of a draft. If I make a new page, it might show up in my content tree as a draft, but then be invisible for everyone else. I have a horrible habit of making pages or making edits and then never publishing them, and then I get frustrated that people can't find it. Corrine, thank you for knowing these are skateboards. People ask me if I surf, if I snowboard. Fun fact, I don't know how to skateboard at all. I like these because of the art on them. Let me turn this a little. It's hard to point in my background. This one, my aunt gave me. Someone left it at her house, and she didn't know what to do with it. And the other one is by a local artist near where I live. I like owls, and I thought it was a pretty cool design. So, there we go. Oh, Emily's keeping me honest. I'm glad someone caught that. I'll let you all wonder if I did that intentionally or if I actually made a mistake. But Emily's spot on. An unpublished draft is invisible. Unpublished changes will exist for someone who hits edit. Either way, I'm still guilty of not publishing things when I should. So make sure you're publishing when you need to. Ooh, the admin key. We're getting some deep cuts here by our friend Emily. Org admins can also log in as folks and go edit and do things if they need to. All right, team. Last minute questions, concerns, queries, quandaries, conundrums, complaints, confusions, or compliments. Please let me know so I can help y'all out. And I will drink some more coffee. Oh, Sid, I hope I'm saying that right. Examples of real company hubs. A link below in the Atlassian community. Some are add-ons, including a couple from App Anvil. Sid, I'd love that link. I'd love to see what other people do. They did have a... I feel like they had... Come on. A competition for Premium Week or something last year. I'll see if I can find the link group and share it out. But now that Sid mentioned it, I'm pretty sure there is something in the community where they showed off different flavors of Company Hub. What kind of coffee? The cheapest thing I could find at Costco, which is a local wholesaler. But if you all have recommendations for coffee or want to send me better coffee, I would appreciate it. Actually, this cup is from the Atlassian Premium Week. I think this is when they did that, put in your company hub. All right, folks, we're kind of at the end of my content. We're talking about coffee now. I want to just say I really appreciate everyone coming to learn with me. When I started doing these, I never thought I'd be doing them for over a year, and I never thought so many people would want to join me. My success metric is at least one person learned something, and that person could include myself. So I learned something about that cards macro. It can be dynamic, and that will be very important and useful for me. But I hope other people learned. Please go share what you know. Please go explore and keep learning. You'll see me here almost every Thursday. Please check out the Atlassian live learnings. You'll see me there. I've got a study session on Mondays for some Atlassian certifications and on Thursdays with these live learnings. So appreciate y'all. I'm going to keep this open for a little bit. But thank you for coming. It's glad to see so many familiar faces, and I'm looking forward to seeing y'all again in about a week. And I'm going to go back to this beautiful opening video, and I'll see you all soon.